Thank you. Nice seeing you all. So I'm Peter, a lawyer on Developer Summit, and I wouldn't say that that's so typical, but I promise you it will not be a boring legal presentation. So let's start. So this is not a crypto influencer. I guess you know who this is. This is Emmanuel Macron, a French prime minister. And a few years ago, he publicly said that United States gave Amazon, Facebook, Google, and other big tech to our planet. China gave Tencent and Alibaba, and Europe's present to the planet was GDPR. So you know it's a nice I would say disclaimer or a nice politically how to say politically correct that why there is no big tech in Europe. But okay, so this is the present that Europe gave to the world, and of course just about some basics. What is GDPR, so that we'll better understand why I mentioned it today in relation to European crypto regulation. So GDPR is a systemic legislation for data processing, for personal data processing. And what's interesting about GDPR is that not only that it's extraterritorial, meaning that it's not applicable only for the companies with the origin in Europe, but it's applicable to all the companies which are processing personal data of European Union citizens. And something similar will happen with European crypto regulation, meaning that it will not be only applicable to European companies, European crypto asset service providers, but it will be also applicable to any company, regardless of the origin, which will be offering crypto services to European citizens. What is also very interesting about GDPR is that now it's becoming directly or indirectly somehow the global standard, meaning that some countries on a planet are copy-pasting the most important part of GDPR. One example is California recently, the second example is Canada, and there are some other countries that did some kind of copy-pasting of GDPR as well. I was once helping one client to get a casino license in Curacao, and it was very interesting that they don't have any systemic regulation about data processing. But if you wanted to get this casino license, you needed to be in legal compliance with GDPR. So that was one of the conditions. So GDPR becoming or is already a global standard, but let's see together if something similar we can expect with crypto regulation. So Europeans gave GDPR to the planet, and what kind of presence are we bringing to states and to world this time? There are some. So I would like to point only a few of them, but there are some others as well. First is MiCA. It's Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. We'll see we'll hear more about it later. The second one is Transfer of Funds Regulation, and the third one is Anti-Money Laundering Regulation. So it's not this anti-money laundering regulation. It's not directly addressing crypto industry, but fintech and other industries in general. Okay, so let's look at MiCA. I would like to speak, before I go to MiCA, I would like to speak from first, I would say from first row, from first-handed experiences that I got when I was interacting with the regulators in the past. So what was the evolution of this crypto regulation in Europe? So at the beginning, when you had a crypto project, you of course wanted to be transparent, you wanted to establish a good relationship with the regulators. You approach the regulators and asking them, how should I proceed? How should I issue a token in order to be fully legally compliant? And usually the regulator said, look, it's not regulated, do whatever you like. We'll be sitting aside, but once somebody will screw up something, then we will act. and that's not a statement that you would feel comfortable with when dealing with the regulator, because working in an industry where probably 99% of all the projects are scams or become scams sooner or later, that something will go wrong very fast. Okay, so this standstill agreement between crypto companies and regulators was not something that you would be easily to live with. The second step, so I would say the genesis went into the direction of so-called soft laws. So German regulator BaFin issued some kind of guidelines for crypto industry. Then UK regulator followed. These were all soft laws, but in practice they were not so soft, or at least they were very hybrid in nature. So when these kind of documents, these were guidelines or technical standards or whatever standards, when regulators found them unfavorable from them, they said, okay, that's our provision, that's our hard law. When they wanted to change their mind in specific case, they said, oh no, these are only the guidelines, we changed our decision. So once again, that was not something that you would be very comfortable with when you are dealing with your crypto project. The next one was I would say a tendency within the crypto industry about the self-regulation. But self-regulation, it's very positive. You have always this conflict between regulation and new business models and new technologies. But crypto industry, as I mentioned, with all the scams, it's impossible to count on a self-regulation. That's not the approach that I'm in favor for. It's good on papers and it's good to write a thesis about it, but it's not the way to go forward. Then the next stage, or the next step, at least in Europe, was so-called crypto licenses. So what was the purpose of these crypto licenses? The added value of those licenses was not there. So more or less, some countries which introduced this kind of licenses, they did as some kind of business, new business model for them. So how to attract a talent, so how to attract companies, and how to attract additional money. But with kind of licenses, yes, you got a license in Estonia, you got a license in Lithuania, but that was not EU license, meaning that it was not EU passportable. So if, for example, a banking license or a fintech license, meaning electronic money institution license or payment institution license, you got it in one country, you got it by one regulator, and then you can passport your services to whole European Union. So these are real licenses. These crypto licenses are, I wouldn't say more than a good marketing material for crypto companies. They got them because all of a sudden they started promoting themselves as EU crypto regulated. Okay, and then was a very interesting, I would say, moment in time when crypto projects started cherry-picking the legislations or the jurisdictions. BaFin, German regulator, clearly said that if an issued token has some kind of characteristics of security, for example, profit sharing or some kind of governance and so on, then this is considered as security and should be also issued as security. Some other regulators, Slovenia was one example, said that regardless of the rights deriving from the tokens, it's not, the token cannot qualify as a security, okay? And everybody would think now Slovenia and some other countries would be a paradise for issuing all kinds of tokens. But, very soon the regulators started enacting this reverse solicitation principle, meaning that if you're clearly addressing investors, for example, from Germany or investors from Italy, then German or Italian jurisdiction would apply. Meaning that if you're a token issuer and you would put also German language or Italian language on your web page, that would mean that you are actively addressing Italian or German investors, and in that case, German or Italian legislation would apply. And of course, in combination with class actions are not something that were that were popular in Europe before Volkswagen. So thanks to Volkswagen that now we have this whole European framework for class actions. Otherwise, we were only reading about class actions in the United States. Now we do have them. So reverse solicitation plus possible class actions, and that's a nightmare for crypto companies. Okay, what is MiCA? So I wouldn't speak much about it, but in general, it's a very comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto assets. It's addressing all kinds of crypto asset service providers. It's regulating stable coins. Very interesting was the genesis of the final draft of MiCA, because of course, after each Terra Luna and similar scandals, regulators started thinking about why not adding something more into the regulation. So I hope that this is now that now we have this final draft of the legislation. So we are now waiting for the European Parliament to adopt it. But as I mentioned, I would say that very important implication of MiCA is that it will be addressing all crypto service asset providers or service providers which are which are addressing European Union citizens. So it will be it will have very similar effect as GDPR. If we go to TFR, so it's a you probably know, you probably heard for travel rule, crypto travel rule. That was a proposal by FATF, which is a supra-governmental organization. But as it is usually the case for European regulators, that everything is much stricter in Europe once it is enacted. One very good example, the FATF crypto travel rule said that you need to a certain data needs to be attached to the originator and beneficiary when they are transferring crypto among themselves. So, and according to FATF proposal, this should be applicable only for the transactions which are higher than $1,000 US. Of course, now when you are reading the final draft of European regulation, no such threshold exists there. So meaning that regardless of the amount that will be transacted, this crypto travel rule will apply. What is interesting, so that this new TFR rule will apply only to hosted wallet transactions, partially also to hosted to unhosted wallet. It's not very clear now at the moment how this will be. I mean, this hosted to unhosted wallet, how this will be enacted in practice. Now the regulation is only speaking about risk-based approach. But what is interesting that now this regulation is not applicable to unhosted wallet transactions. I'm sure sooner or later this will also be added, but okay, for now it's outside the scope of the regulation. AML framework, what's going on here? So once again, maybe just the basics about the European legislation, so how it is adopted. So we have directives and we have regulation. The key difference is that between the directive and regulation, the key difference is once directive is adopted, then this needs to be migrated or transferred to national legislation, meaning that each country needs to adopt a law. Of course, each European Union country then has some kind of discretion, a level of discretion, how this directive should be adopted. And usually this is the problematic part, because every country feels much better, or every government or every parliament feels much better if they add something, a sentence or a word or something. And usually this is then a deal breaker. So I can tell you many examples of how one word or one sentence changed the whole point of the directive. So If you want to establish this level playing field, is much more convenient to adopt it in a forum of regulation, which is directly applicable into the national law. So no national law needs to be adopted. It's valid directly. And this is exactly now what's happening in Europe related to AML legislation. So where we have problems now, for example, in Lithuania, it is allowed to it is legally allowed to conduct KYC with fully automated KYC. For example, in Slovenia, it's not allowed to do it. You need a live operator. So meaning that these standards across European Union are not leveled. And this will probably change until the end of this year, when we'll get this regulation, which will be setting the level playing field for the whole European Union. And in addition, we will also get a new supervisory body, which will be only responsible for this money laundering or anti-money laundering issues. Okay, so my question, I would say that the key topic that I want to discuss with you today is whether this EU crypto regulation will be going global. I believe so, because if you're reading a regulator's a memo from Singapore, I think, or Malaysia, I don't know, they said that they are waiting for global regulation. And what is global regulation? I think everybody is waiting for this kind of global regulation. And I would say that MiCA and these let's call them bylaws are a step in that direction. Of course, there are some other open questions for crypto future, which are somehow connected with MiCA, with these legal documents that I already described. One would be definitely how to regulate DeFi. So I think it's a fairy tale to expect that DeFi will not be regulated. I don't know how these two goes together, DeFi and or decentralization and regulation, but we will all need to find a way to mix them together. So what is also interesting is if you want to have a DeFi platform. I look at DeFi as a way of some kind of parallel banking, and if you want to have a parallel banking or parallel financial system, it will need to be regulated, because the regulation is protecting the consumers and other stakeholders. But what is a license? The license is a way, an easy way how to attach liability to an entity, to an institution, or to person responsible within this institution. And the question is, if once we'll have this DeFi and the ecosystem running on smart contracts, will it be possible to apply a banking license or a light banking license or any kind of fintech license to a software code? Let's wait for that. Maybe one more important topic. So DeFi and also NFTs were for now left outside of MiCA. So at least MiCA is indirectly regulating the DeFi through regulation, through very strict regulation of stablecoins. There are now some strict provisions for all the stablecoin issuers, and we are going very closely to this fintech regulation, applicable fintech regulation. For you who knows better of European regulation, it's called PSD2, Payment Services Directive, which is regulating financial institutions. So, being a stablecoin issuer now, you will need to be very closely, or you will be very closely regulated to payment institutions and electronic money institutions. Same happened with NFTs. For now, they were left out of MiCA. I was reading a statement from the European Parliament or the European Council, and their explanation was that NFTs are the evolving industry, and at the moment they don't know how to properly regulate it, and most probably we will be waiting for 2 or 3 more years so that European politicians will better understand this industry, and then they will be able to properly regulate it. Of course, one also very important topic is our CBDCs. I don't know if you are informed about the project that is going on within the European Central Bank. It started last year in September. It's called the Digital Euro. So we are now in this 2 years investigation phase or research phase, and then the European Central Bank will decide whether it will go forward with this CBDC project or not. But of course, there is a very important question about this infrastructure that will be underlying infrastructure for digital euro. And we Europeans, we already, because we like the regulation, we already have a directive which is, or it's a regulation, I forgot, which is regulating the DLT infrastructure. So before we have anything, we do regulate. Okay, so I'm coming from GateHub, and when we are building wallet infrastructure, gateway infrastructure, we are always monitoring the regulatory landscape. Of course, it's if you want to have a serious business, you need to be fully legally compliant at all times with no exceptions. I think it's good for us to be in Europe because if you are properly regulated and if you are in full compliance with European regulation, I think it will be much easier to be regulated and in legal compliance in other jurisdictions. Okay, so for the end, one, I would say, funny statement, but I'm sure that future of crypto is decentralized but also regulated. So I really don't have an answer how we can combine these two things together, but we operating within this industry will together need to find a solution. Thank you for the attention. Okay, any questions? Yeah, please. Oh, you mean this rule to be forgotten? Yeah, it's a constant, I would say, very problematic conflict between GDPR and blockchain being permanent on the network. I would say that one solution that I was reading about is that you have this you have some data stored on wherever, and you have this private key. To assess this data, and you just somehow I would say not enable anybody to access this. I don't know if I was clear about this, but I know the question is very good, because I don't know if you're aware, GDPR has this rule, right to be forgotten. So whoever is processing or collecting your data, if you want that entity that to erase all of your data, then they need to apply. And the problem with blockchain, of course, is that once there is a blockchain, it's permanently there. But yeah.
Recently, the platform FTX moved their operations from Hong to Bahamas.
Sorry, once again.
Recently, FTX moved their operations from Hong Kong to Bahamas.
Yeah.
You see that as a trend?
You can escape jurisdictions, but then you can do this all your life. Sooner or later, everything will be regulated, and regardless of moving the company to Bahamas, if they will want to operate in Europe, they will need to be compliant with European regulation. And I am very positive that something similar will happen also in States and elsewhere. So maybe this is a very short-term solution now to moving to British Virgin Islands or to Bahamas, but not a long-term solution. you know, my approach was always talk with the regulators. You know, it's a very good approach because sometimes you also need to teach the regulators so that they will understand. Luckily, for example, in Slovenia, we have now new director of tax authority, you know, and he's a huge blockchain crypto lover. So he's staking, he's mining, he's doing everything. So it's easier to talk with this kind of regulator. But 5 years ago, I founded blockchain think tank Slovenia. So I was approached by Slovenian minister who was in charge for digitalization, and he heard about blockchain in Sweden from I don't know which minister, and he came to me and he asked me, you should establish some kind of bridge between blockchain industry and public sector and the regulators. And we did that, and 2 times a year we organized an event and we invited all 4 relevant regulators, meaning tax authority, IML office, securities agency, and which will be the fourth bank of central bank. And you know, we were discussing all the topics and what happens now when central bank is reading something about stable coins. They invite us to give them a lecture about this topic. So I would say that yes, if you want to be ahead of time, let's say, and ahead of the regulators of government, talk with them, be transparent, be open. Yeah, okay, thank you. That was all.